I'm Mike, and today, how to start eating a whole food vegan diet. I'm not just gonna throw studies at you like usual. This will be an actual practical video. Because if you watch my channel, by now you know that a whole food vegan diet kicks ass. It is the best way, scientifically validated, to reverse heart disease. It kicks type 2 diabetes in the ass, also destroys hypertension, and the list goes on. Yeah, it might not save more animals than a sort of standard American vegan diet, but it can save the animal known as you. So how in the world does one actually practically, logistically go on such a diet? How do you cook without oil? What do you do when you get to the grocery store? And what is a whole food anyway? Answers to all of those questions, and also some quick shopping and idiot-proof cooking for an entire day of eating. To start off, what does a whole food vegan diet actually entail? Well, it's whole grains, starches, vegetables, of course, fruits, seeds and nuts, as well as herbs and spices, and also mushrooms. It's not actually technically an entirely plant-based diet because it includes fungi. Obviously, it includes no animal products, but is also free of oils, processed sugar, and is a low-sodium diet. Whole food can be a bit of a confusing term, but the general idea is you are eating all of the components that were originally contained in the food. It does not have to remain fully intact. You don't have to bite directly into a full onion, but the idea is to not remove the essential healthy components that your body needs, like the ones that prevent you from getting a blood sugar spike or lipemia, aka sludge blood. No centrifuges, no chemical soups, no production charts that look like this. Yes, it includes some minimally processed foods, like ground up foods, but nowhere near the level you find in most packaged foods. Here's an example: whole soy foods versus refined soy foods. Edamame, literally a soybean, obviously whole. Tempeh is essentially fermented whole soybeans. Soy protein isolate, not whole. It spikes IGF-1 after a few servings, which is a cancer-causing trait usually reserved for animal protein. Soybean oil, again not whole. In this case, it paralyzes arteries temporarily. Let's do another quick round with corn products. Corn on the cob is obviously whole. Cornmeal is essentially ground up whole corn, still whole. Dextrose, a sugar that can be made from corn, not whole. And of course, high fructose corn syrup, the king of not being whole. Beyond that, I could sit here all day showing you study after study about why this diet is great for you, but I'm assuming you're already motivated to do it. If you're not, go ahead and watch my oil video. Okay, let's get to it. I'm gonna show you what I think is a great first day of whole food vegan eating. Yeah, you're gonna have to do some cooking, but I tried to make these meals sort of at the junction between minimal effort and good tasting. Now let's look at the 3 meals that I'm gonna show you how to shop for and cook for. All right, number 1, oatmeal with fruit and chopped dates as a sweetener. Number 2, sweet potato with veggies and black beans. You can bake or steam these, I'll show you both. Number 3, pasta with veggies and optional tofu. Just to spark your imagination, I made some avocado pesto, but we won't get into that today. All right, let's get logistical and start by shopping for the oats. Grab a pound or a half a kilogram of rolled oats. Yeah, you're not gonna eat them all at once, but they're pretty cheap and they're good to have around. Also grab some frozen blueberries. Yeah, they're the most expensive item, but you can make them last, I'd say. Grab some dates and cinnamon as well, and get a couple of fruits you like. The most ripe banana you can, and a single apple will do. Go for organic fruit, but if it's not in your budget, otherwise just stay away from the dirty dozen list, for sure. Now, how to cook meal number 1. I'll keep it pretty quick since you probably already know how to cook oats. But in case you don't, it's still in there for you. Depending on your needs, you'll probably want to eat 500 plus calories here. So cook 1.5 cups of dried oats, which is about 500 calories. It's 1 to 2 ratio of oats to water, and cook on medium for, 7 to 10 minutes and stir occasionally. Then chop up your fruit, get your dates as small as easily possible and throw it on raw. Add some cinnamon and bam, first whole food meal. Going to Chronometer, which is free. My version, which is a little higher on calories since I'm 6'1", came out to be about 800 calories altogether. Side note, if you are not motivated to eat oats, pause and read this study's comically beneficial, almost melodramatic list of the benefits of eating oats. Okay, now let's do shopping for meal number 2, our sweet potato-based lunch. Okay, grab yourself some garnet yams, jewel sweet potatoes, or Japanese sweet potatoes, which I used and cooked the same, doesn't really matter. They're all around 400 calories per pound, so get at least, 1.5 pounds for yourself. And grab your black beans, get a zucchini, a head of broccoli. Luckily, I was able to get these from my garden, which is awesome. You can grab yourself a pre-mixed curry for the veggies. Okay, now how to cook this meal. I'm gonna do 2 options of cooking for the sweet potatoes. A baking, which tastes way better, but also takes longer. And then just a boiling, which is simple. Preheat to 425 for baking or 220 degrees Celsius. Then cut them into quarters, and if they are large, slice them to about as thick as your thumb, and this way it'll only take about 25 to 35 minutes depending on your oven. Otherwise, it's closer to an hour. If you go the steam route, start by peeling them, dice them into cubes about the size of ice cubes, and then just put enough water to submerge them and cook them on a medium-high until they're soft to the poke. Usually 10 to 15 minutes will do the job. Then drain them while watching out for that steam. Okay, now let's talk about oil-free vegetable cooking. To get an effect similar to stir-frying in oil, you'll need to get a non-toxic, non-stick pan. And now we're about to do the laziest thing possible here. So lazy, there isn't even a name for this in cooking, but let's just call it water frying for the purpose of this video. Phase 1, put about 1/4 inch or a bit less than a centimeter of water in your pan, add your veggies, and throw the top on, waiting for about 10 minutes till phase 2, where you take the lid off, add your spices to taste, and then sort of dry stir fry them on the non-stick surface. During any waiting time, you can strain and rinse those black beans. About half a can per serving is what I usually do. Put this vegetable dish with the potatoes, and voila, lunch is served. For me, this meal was about 1,000 calories and was quite nutritionally impressive. Now, how to shop for meal number 3, which is pasta and veggies. So just grab your typical whole wheat pasta, or if you're gluten-free, as 50% of you probably are, go for the corn or perhaps rice pasta, but make sure that it is calorically equivalent to wheat, not zucchini noodles, which is essentially a way to starve yourself. For sauce, look for diced tomatoes, preferably in a glass jar, but a can will also do. I would suggest getting some salt-free seasoning like Mrs. Dash, or I use this one from Costco. I did zucchini again just because my garden has a lot, but you could also grab eggplant or another veggie you like. Also, grab a bunch of kale, your favorite. Okay, now how to cook it. I'm doing about 600 calories of pasta per serving, which comes out to be 9 quarts of water per serving. Once it's boiling, throw in the pasta, start cutting up your veggies, do the same lazy water frying technique, and then you can add the salt-free seasoning and your tomatoes, mix it around to make a sauce. And I actually threw on some tofu just fresh here, not because I need the protein, but just for extra calories. You can also fry it on your non-stick pan to get this nice golden brown crunchiness. For saltiness, I added kelp flakes, which is literally just kelp, and bam, you are done. This meal was quite well balanced as well. The whole day came out certainly better than 95% of Americans eat, and pretty good considering I did check this all as an afterthought, and maybe some nuts would have made the fat intake perfect. But last point, take your B12. Seriously. Now for a couple quick tips. First one has to do with salt. If you really cannot go cold turkey and cut salt out entirely on this, I would suggest kind of weaning yourself off slowly until your taste buds adjust. Next, there is batch cooking. You should absolutely use batch cooking techniques because this is a very cooking heavy diet, and the less you have to cook, the less likely you are to fail. Next, how many calories are required on this diet? How does that work? Well, I would say this is not a smash it in type diet. Studies do see good results even in weight loss with an ad libitum style, which is eat as much as you want. With that in mind, this is a high fiber, lower calorie density diet, so make sure to know your own caloric needs by calculating your basal metabolic rate and your calories burnt by activity, which are easily done on this website, which I will link to below. Okay, but what about macronutrient ratios? I would say if you're sticking to whole foods, you're usually gonna be okay, especially if you err on the starch-based side of it. Don't eat like a nut-based diet, that could end up bad. We do know the realm of 80% carbs is sort of a safe zone. The Okinawans ate around there. Colin Campbell in his book Whole recommends that, and the meals that we just had that day of eating was 78% carbs. Now to the big question, how strict do you have to be with this diet? Now I would say if you're just coming on to veganism, you probably don't want to try this right off the bat because your taste buds probably aren't adjusted and it'll just kick you right back into meat land. But if you're ready to go in this direction, there's definitely a spectrum. You can maybe do McDougall style, which is all whole foods, plus you include salt in it. Maybe you want to be low oil, mostly avoid salt, and only eat processed sugar on the weekends. Hey, well that's better than a junk food vegan diet 7 days a week. go for it. But I would say if you really are trying to reverse a chronic disease, then go all the way. Final point here, you will not be reinventing the wheel by going on this diet. There are several vegan YouTubers alone that have great guides to doing this. There's Mr. and Mrs. Vegan who can help you eat at restaurants in a healthy manner, as well as some other oil-free eating strategies. There's Potato Strong with a massive variety of recipes and videos to match. Then there's the Vegan Corner. Not all, but perhaps most of the recipes are whole food vegan. If you want to make an oil-free hummus that is better than normal hummus and doesn't taste like chickpea roughage, they have cracked that code. They also have some delicious recipes at engine2diet.com, which was created by Rip Esselstyn, who is Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn's son. Alright, hopefully this guide was helpful for you. If you have any questions or even suggestions for a follow-up video, let me know down below. And don't forget to like the video before you run off and start shopping and cooking. Alright, thank you for watching and see you next time.